We are in the neighborhood where a famous late night TV show host grew up.
What was that man's name?
What was it? Dave Letterman, of course.
David Letterman. He grew up in this very neighborhood. As a matter of fact, you could buy his childhood home right now.
Right now.
As long as we get the video up on time. And it's still for sale. But anyway, it's for sale right now. We're going to show you that house. We're going to tell you more about Letterman. We're going to give you the top 10 reasons why you should buy that house, maybe. And we're going to go see his mom's house where she lived when she was on the show. She appeared on the show many, many times. We're also going to take you to his mom's grave to pay our respects there. And we cordially invite you to come along for the adventure.
Come along. David Letterman was a class clown. He was a real goofy guy. He loved to joke around. So it was his absolute dream to be in show business and be a comedian.
Yeah, so he got to live out his dreams. He got to do his dream job for decades. He absolutely loved it, he said, and it was just a perfect job for him. We're coming up to the house right now. It is for sale. I think it's $265,000. So if you want to buy it, you can buy it right now. We're going to give you a top 10 reasons. First of all, let's show you the house, and we're going to give you top 10 reasons why you should buy this very house right here.
Number 10 is a pretty obvious one. It's because David Letterman used to live in this house right here. Number 9 is because Letterman may stop by sometime to check out his childhood home. Number 8 because if and when Letterman stops by, you might meet him. Number 7 because if and when he stops by, you may become best friends with Dave. Number 6, these top 10 lists are much more difficult to come up with than they seem. You guys fill in 1 through 6 right now. We are at David Letterman's mother's former house. Her name was Dorothy Mengering.
Mengering. That's right. Mengering. It's a tough one. And there it is, right there. Now, the inside of this house was shown. If you're a Letterman fan, which if you're watching this, I'm sure you are, then you've seen the inside of this house. You've seen that kitchen area many times. Every year around Thanksgiving, David Letterman would do that part of his episode where he would play the Guess the Pie game with his mother. So they'd go live by CBS satellite to this house right here inside the kitchen of that house. She would have a couple pies set out, and David Letterman, sometimes with the help of Paul Schaefer, would try to guess what pie his mom had made for Thanksgiving for that year. She also participated in a lot of other stuff on the show. She did Olympic coverage for David quite a few years, traveled across the world to do that. From this house right here, let's take a closer look at it now. There it is. The audience of Letterman's show fell in love with his mother due to how laid back she was and how well she handled his jokes. She once said, "The positive response to my appearances on David's show has nothing to do with my amateur abilities as a broadcaster. People enjoy seeing a mother and son together. It's that simple." Of course, her Guess Mom's Pies segments were always looked forward to each Thanksgiving. Some years she would try to trick Dave. In 1994, she made 3 pies. One was a cherry pie, another was a pumpkin pie. After several guesses, Dave was able to name both, with his mom giving him a hint by asking him what his favorite pie was, to which he said cherry pie. However, the trick was, she had actually made 2 cherry pies that day. Then in 1996, she made a hickory nut pie, which Dave was still joking about during the Guess Mom's Pie segment the next year, when he said in his entire life he'd never heard of a hickory nut pie or seen a hickory nut pie. Sadly, on April 11th, 2017, she died in this house of natural causes.
We are now at Crown Hill Cemetery in Indianapolis, which is where David's parents are buried. His father was a man named Harry Joseph Letterman. He liked to be called Joe. He married Dorothy in 1942. They had 3 children. David was the middle child. They also had 2 girls, one older and one younger than David. Joe was a florist, while Dorothy worked as a secretary at First Presbyterian Church here in town. She also helped Joe with his florist business. Joe died after his second heart attack the day before Valentine's Day in 1973. He was 57 years old. Dorothy died the day before David's birthday. Dave flew into town for her funeral and gave a eulogy, during which he said of his childhood, "We didn't want for anything because of my mom.